What is Daniel doing now? What did Daniel do before? And how does it bring us to where we're at right now?
Most people, for not saying like all patients, you just get one shot. Like you cannot give away so much money and then if it didn't work, like redo it again.
Obviously, we don't want to work with, and we stopped working with agencies that we believe that a patient was just a number. It's very important for the people that we work with to have full transparency.
I have assisted over 10,000 patients in my career.
What made you open your own? What makes you different than the rest of the agencies out there, than the agency you used to work for? What makes you different?
I'm not thinking about the money. I'm not thinking about how can I get this money off this guy. I was just thinking of how can I help this person.
No problem. I have a question for you.
It should.
There you go. Would you send your mom or your grandma to Supreme?
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and pepper and heavy D up in the limousine.
Welcome back to Supreme Dental Podcast Studio. You can be anywhere else in the world right now, but you're here with us. And we appreciate that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, this podcast was meant for you, our patients. My wife and I are the owners of Supreme Dental Clinic. Listen, we're on Spotify and we're on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you let all your loved ones know any dental needs they need. Ask us questions, and that's what we're here for. But today we have someone that we've been waiting for quite some time to be here. Welcome, Daniel.
Hey, thank you, Frank. I very glad to be here. It's like I was telling you, like when we're walking around the clinic, it's a bit of surreal, like actually seeing the place where you've sent like so many people through the past years, and we're always saying like, yeah, I'm gonna go there like next June, next December, next this, and somehow it never happened, but we're here now, so I'm grateful, and thank you for having me here.
No problem. Tell me, Daniel, what is Daniel doing now? What did Daniel do before? And how does it bring us to where we're at right now?
Well, I was a patient coordinator working for another company for the past 3 years, where I fell in love with this industry, like, besides just being like a, way to make a living, like I really just, clicked with everything, like the dental industry, like the patients and like the whole thing. So worked for the past years, with patients one-on-one, close to patients all over the world. I have assisted over 10,000 patients in my career. Over 5,000 patients I've traveled, due to like our interactions, Mexico, Costa Rica, Colombia, Bali, Thailand, Turkey, all over the world. And so at some point of my career, I felt like I wanted to do my own thing pretty much. And that's what led me here, like I decided to resign. And, it was a little bit of like those moments, like what should I do next? There were a lot of options of what to do. And I prayed a bit, discussed it with my wife, and, I decided to come up with basically my own company, yeah.
My Global Dentist.
It is called, yeah, My Global Dentist. It's a name that I liked when I saw it. From the options, discussing with the developers and the designers. So yeah, that's the name. Yeah, My Global Dentist.
So before you worked for that company, did you ever work with anything to do with health before?
I've been related with health like my whole life. Like my mom is a doctor, my sister too. I started psychology. I went to college for 3 years before dropping out, basically almost like at the end of my career, but.
It happens.
So like, yeah, I'm still very grateful though for the opportunity. I mean, I've learned that, a degree won't make you a living. Like it's a lot of other skills that you need to develop down the road, but for sure, like going to college opens a lot of doors. But to me, it helped me understood like, the human behavior, like psychology, how it works, and just try to synchronize that when I'm talking to a patient, like understanding their needs, like deeply connecting with a patient, like for me to be able to determine, you can go here, you can go there, like these are your options, like really from a place of empathy, like understanding their actual concerns. So like related to dental, like specifically. It was like my first time, but I guess like I just became obsessed with it, like for the past years, just crazy amount of hours every single day learning about it, working on it. So yeah.
You're helping people and you're getting paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's I think about helping the patient first, because if you're thinking about getting paid, like you're not doing a good job, because you'll be biased in your decision on how to help this person. So that's something that I focus. Like, I'm just helping the person, and I know the results will be there. Because yeah, I mean, you got to make a living. It's I don't have the blessing to have a nonprofit organization or something, but I mean, it's more the focus about helping the patient, doing the right thing, and I mean, you get rewarded for it, with being able to make a living. Yeah.
So now, when you reached out to us and you told me what you were looking at doing, and you told me what makes you different from, there's a lot of agencies out there. Mm-hmm. You used to work for an agency before. We work with that agency. We no longer work with that agency any longer. What made you open your own? What makes you different mm-hmm. than the rest of the agencies out there, than the agency you used to work for? What makes you different?
So, I mean, I think what sets me aside is that, like by assisting so many patients, like understanding really deeply the patient's concerns. Like most patients, and this goes for the patient watching the home, like you already have a problem. Like you already have the problem that you just came from your local doctor and they just told you it's $50,000, it's $45,000. Like that's problem number one. Then a lot of patients end up talking to different agencies because they just go online and say implants in Mexico, implants in Costa Rica, because they're desperate. They don't know what to do. So they just go online looking for options. You find an agency, yeah. But then you have the next problem. You have a list of 1,000 clinics that they advertise. So like you're coming from problem one to number two, because how can you choose?
How do you pick?
It's a lot of clinics. You like the agencies haven't been there in person with all of those offices in person, like certify absolutely everything that they do. It's not possible. So when I was thinking about those challenges, I said, well, I would just rather reach out to the 15, 20 clinics that people actually use, come up with this proposal that we want to create an elite site with just a selected group of clinics that, are US trained with the best certifications, that they offer concierge, shuttles, hotels, just the best of the best. Put it in one place and make the patient understand, like, hey, like your dental search ends here. Like you don't need 1,000 clinics to choose. Like I've talked to a patient in 2021 and they call me in 2024 and they were still searching. They've never made a decision because it's really hard. Like you're trusting somebody with your health, and it's like most people, for not saying like all patients, you just get one shot. Like you cannot give away so much money and then if it didn't work, like redo it again. It's a one-time thing. Like
and a lot of agencies are going to send you to one of the places that they work with that perhaps is not the best for you. It's probably the best for them. So being able to work with only a few, I say this all the time. Look, anybody who has a business or ran a business, to me, the best place to start, I would wish that all the business owners at some point will be waiters. Because being a waiter is such a tough job. People, you got to talk to people. People sometimes tell you, I didn't order that. You get the ups and downs. You understand how people work sometimes. Me being a waiter, I was a waiter, 2 different restaurants growing up. And one of them I was a busboy. 2 of them was a busboy. One of them was a waiter. And that really opened my eyes on how people treat people based on their position. Somebody would come in with a lot of money or think they have a lot of money, and then they would mistreat the waiter. And other people that didn't have as much money would come in and purchase whatever, and they would maybe not tip you as much, but they would not mistreat you. So to me, it's very important that you are a patient coordinator. You were a patient coordinator, mm-hmm. and now you go to be the owner of a company. but you already know the ups and downs. See, my wife, when we started this clinic, she was the receptionist and she was an assistant at her clinic. At some point, I also assisted at her clinic. We had the old school x-rays that you had to put into this little thing and then this little water, and it was like this small, and you got to take a look at it. Like, I developed those too. So now we're the owners. I mean, we've always been the owners of the clinic, but we no longer obviously do that.
Yeah.
Neither does my clinic. Now we have digital. But it lets you know, I'm here because I work myself up and I know my product. And you could be the owner. A lot of owners of different agencies are out there. They can't sell. They can't talk about a product. They don't even understand the product. How can you have a team that counts on your decisions? I mean, you don't even know what you're selling. You don't even know what you're explaining to the patient. You don't even know the difference that you're making in people's lives because you're not on those phone calls. So what better than the people that actually do it, like in your situation? Then now you actually get to, when you grow a bigger crew, hey, this is what we got to do. And this is how I don't want to be the patient to be treated, because you've been there. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's, when it came up to that point, like, what should I do next with my career? It's like, there were a lot of things that I wanted to do different, and maybe I didn't have the platform to do it. And I was never going to be able to control what other people do. Like, right. I just can influence so much because, it was up to my position or the power that I had. So the only way to be able to change those things is like, hey, the only way that I can implement all the things that I've learned that actually work for the patient, that makes their experience better, is just going and doing my own thing. Like, I have the expertise, like assisting, like over 6,000 people to travel. Like, sometimes you just say it as a number, but when you think about it, there's 6,000 people that talk to you, end up trusting, believing in you, and they took a plane or took a car and went somewhere else unknown to get dental work and change their lives. So when you see it as a perspective, not just a number, when you see it in like faces and people, it's just like, it's huge, like it's, it really gave me like the inspiration to do it. And there's different visions that other agencies have. Some of them aim to be like the largest sites in the world. I honestly have no intentions to become the largest site in the world. I don't care. I'd rather be the most efficient and the most reliable one, like a trusted place where you can end up on my site and be, hey, I'm good. Like, I'm taken care of. Like all the clinics that are here, we don't have 2,000. Because like I told you, like I can go walk around Algodones right now and sign up 100 clinics. Easily. Just like, present my numbers. Hey, I've assisted over 10,000 patients, this and this. And like people know me. And they're like, yeah, sure, Daniel, let's go. But I don't believe in what they do. Like, I don't believe in all of them. I mean, there's really good doctors out there. And I'm saying that, I don't want anybody take this the wrong way. But you know what I'm saying? Like, not everybody has the standards for me to actually send somebody, say, hey, this place, they will change your life.
Like, would you send your mom?
Exactly.
Would you send your grandma?
I wouldn't send my mom or my grandma to some places. So it's not about signing up clinics for people to see, hey, this guy has a lot of connections. I would rather patients to feel like, hey, we came up to a site where he has put together the best clinics out there. And like anyone that we pick, it's a top one. Like having Supreme and the other offices that will be joining, for me, it's honestly like it really humbles me because I know that you wouldn't put your clinic with just any random website, because you build a name, like what you offer, what your clinic has done. I walked around, I saw the facilities, like the lab, the 2 clinics, the hotel, the podcast, like everything. Like you wouldn't just trust your name, you like to be advertised anywhere. You don't know, like I don't even know what they're gonna say about me or my practice. So for me, it's a sign that I've done things right over the past years. With the patients and with what I do. So that's my goal, just to become the most efficient, like a trusted place where people can see the logo and think about trust. Think about like, they're going to pick me up. They're going to do the right thing. I'm not going to be dealing back and forth with, misunderstandings because there were other intentions behind or something, like every patient that I talk that I could feel comfortable say, if you go to Supreme or if you go to this guy or the other, you're good. Like you're taken care of.
We were talking about this before we jumped on the podcast, and I told you that back in the day they used to compare us to another clinic that's bigger here. And I told you that I would tell patients that we don't focus on being the biggest, we're focused on being the best. And a lot of agencies out there, they care more about the quantity than the quality. And when you reached out to me, you told me about the project that you had going on. I think you were barely initiated. You spoke to me a little bit before, and then you spoke to me after. And I remember you showed me that name, and you showed me another name that it was weird. And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, man. I like this name better too. And hey, man, like that's what it's all about. You know, obviously we don't want to work with, and we stopped working with agencies that we believe that a patient was just a number. It's very important for the people that we work with that have full transparency, that don't lie to people just to get them in. You know what I'm saying? Because that is the worst feeling in the world, when we would get somebody from the agency we're no longer with and they would not know anything. And they just flew. They just spent, I don't know, hundreds or thousands of dollars to get here, food, hotel. And now they're just like, what, I can't do this? I can't get this done, but they told me I could. Well, where's your extras? No, I never sent it to them. But look at this email. They tell me that I could do it. Well, they're not the dentist.
No.
You know, and sometimes even you being here, we take x-rays and that changes the way that we see things. That's why we take those. So to me, being able to work with a company just like My Global Dentist is all about transparency, all about doing what's right for the patient. That's the number one thing. Because sometimes even doing what's right for the patient and doing it right, still sometimes things don't go our way sometimes, you know, and we got to be there to back up our work.
Yeah.
Like we don't just, okay, we sold you by, like something happens, hey, the warranty stands.
Sure.
Or
That's one of the, when I talk to patients, like I just keep it as transparent as possible. Like you got to set the right expectations. Like I tell the patients, hey, like there's no industry in the world or company that will guarantee you that something will never, ever fail.
Nothing
like
medical.
Ever.
Nothing medical.
Like there's nothing that nobody, if they ever tell you that, like just run away because they're lying to you. It's not possible.
If I can do something that's 100% never will fail, there would be no other clinics.
Yeah,
it
it would just go to you.
Yeah.
But what makes a company like a reputable in a big place is how they handle when that small percentage of things happen. I mean, you can have a 97% success rate or 98 or, you know, to say a number. How do you handle that 2%?
Right.
Are you handling like as this guy, you know, he already paid, he represents no profit to us anymore. Just, you know, having the person calling back and forth with no help, or you're going to treat the person as if he was a new patient, you know, because, you know, you're loyal to your patient. So that's actually something that I also consider when reaching out to a few places. Many clinics reach out to me as well, more than I can count, honestly. And that was also a sign of doing the right thing over the past years. I was grateful. But I had to decline, you know, some offices because I've seen stuff over the past 3 years.
Yeah,
So,
no, for sure.
you know, when it comes to that and being like, hey, now it's going to be my name, you know, up there, I wouldn't like to send somebody where I personally recommend. And
You wouldn't send your mom or your grandma.
yeah, and then, you know, I know how they handle their warranties, or I know how they handle X or Y, you know, scenarios. So that's why I decided, hey, do I want to be the largest and just fulfill my ego that I have the largest, or do I want to be like the most reliable and the most efficient? And that's what it came down to. So I say, hey, this is a small group of clinics that I want to work with, that I really, really believe in what they do. And I don't know if there will be more out there. Like I told you back in the office that I found, for example, like by talking to a few doctors, not in Mexico, but I found another one outside of Mexico that has like great credentials, like super good. I said, hey, like, why? I've never heard your name. And his honest answer was like, I've never trusted a site to join. Like, I don't believe that it will be fair. I don't believe that it will be transparent. So I just been doing my own thing. We signed him up, and he said, like, you're the first ever agency or website that I'll be affiliated with. And he has, like, your doctors, he has Harvard, Penn State, Italy, Brazil, Portugal. Like, it's an amazing resume, but he never trusted anybody to, you know, advertise his work.
Right.
So, you know, there's a lot out there, you know, for patients to actually travel and super great doctors that they're just more focused on helping their patients, that they don't care to advertise, because they're just like, it's not their expertise, like their expertise is helping people. So like you need to bring them the patients. Say, hey,
That's what we were talking about not before we started the podcast, is how Supreme has developed this amazing team, because our doctors help the patients, and then my wife and I do everything else. Like, we make sure you were walking around, you're like, whose idea was this? Who designed this? And it's like, oh, my wife. The lab, I think the only thing I did was like pick the black walls and the extra TVs. Like, I'm more into picking the heavy, the stuff, like, for example, the milling machine and all that. But designing wise, like, I'm not gonna be that guy. Me, more stamps or more is, if it's too little, I'm just like, nah, I don't like that. My wife's like, well, less is more, and I'm just like, that's what you design and I don't. But going to that patient's trust is very important. Thank you for each and every one of the patients that I meet once, twice a week that let us know about how they've seen our podcast. And, some patients that I've actually talked to, they've seen 30 to 40 episodes. That's more episodes that I've seen. George always tells me, hey, did you see the last episode? And I'm like, nah, man, I don't like to see myself talking. and believe it or not, I'm like, I don't like seeing myself talking.
That, but
I talk to myself in the mirror in the morning, but I mean, that's not weird, right? But so thank you so much, and thank you so much for letting your loved ones and your friends know about this podcast. Share the love. There might those people out there sometimes that are lost. Supreme Dental, my global dentist. There's great places out there. What clinic that really do their thing, and they're actually real people that actually really do want to help you out. But now comes a couple of my questions, man. So you were a patient coordinator before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you have tell me a crazy story. What is a crazy story that a patient that you helped that was like a story that you're going to remember?
I mean, there's a lot of stories, patients that I've assisted, and, when the clinic sent me the picture of her standing at the lobby, like smiling, I just forwarded the picture to the husband, and the guy just sent me like a full letter. I was in tears because it's like, that's my beautiful wife. That's a woman that I married 25 years ago. We've been saving so much money to do this. Thank you. It's so powerful. I was just crying in front of the screen, imagining like the husband seeing like his wife with the full smile, like she was like all happy smiling, and she was like, can you send this to my husband?
You give them back their life. And it's weird because people that have a nice smile don't see how important it is for people that don't smile.
Yeah, that was one. There's another one that stick to me because I took it as a challenge. I was assisting this patient, one of the first like actual persons that I talked to in 2021, and he was the type of patient that will fire back everything that you say. He had a better answer. No, I looked it up on Google. I looked it up here.
I looked at the Google doctors.
Yeah, it's a very tough one. So, we were like in a back and forth for like 2 months. He never took action on his health, and he left. And one of the things that you understand about this dental work is that your teeth won't get any better. Like, you'll come back. I mean, if you don't take action, your health is going to remind to you in a few months or years, whenever it takes, that you still need the work. Mm-hmm. So when I was almost about to leave my other work, came back again. So, I talked to this guy like 3 years ago. I said, hey, how are you doing, Mr. And he tells me like, I haven't done anything yet. So, that confirmed that if you don't take action, your, health is still going to remember remind you that you need something. So he asked me again for pricing and quotes. Like, we saw this all over like the world, but it's like, how can I help this person? Like, how can I just not be a random sales guy or a patient coordinator, however he sees me, and like actually be a guide for him to take action, like somebody that will lead him into the right decision. So when I was sending him an email, I noticed that it had the word scientist on it. So I asked him, hey, just a brief question. Are you a scientist? So yeah, I work for this company. He explains me the whole thing. So it's like, oh, it makes sense. So it makes sense what? That you need to have like all the facts together. where did you go to school? So we started talking more. He opened up. He told me a lot of things like, hey, just, kind of off the record, like, how would you feel if somebody that just been searching on Google for the past 2 years, just has an answer for everything that you studied for the past years to be in your position? He just stayed silent for like 30 seconds. Like, that's what you're doing with the doctors. Everything that they're telling you that you need or you don't need, you're just telling them the opposite based on Google. He just stayed silent. So let me call you back. He hung up. And like 40 minutes later, he sent me his flights. Hey, Daniel, thank you. I talked to my wife. I'm going here, and he sent me his info. And he took action, like after 3 years of not doing anything.
That's awesome.
So like when I see myself in those cases, like those scenarios, like, hey, like we really have like a huge platform to help somebody like, change their lives and improve their lives. I'm not thinking about the money. I'm not thinking about how can I get this money off this guy. I was just thinking of how can I help this person get off like that mindset of keep asking and asking questions. It's going to keep going for years to actually do something about his health. And that was one of the cases of, like it's over 6,000 people, but like that I can remember that. That's really good, no? that I really liked. That's one of the cases, that paying attention to the little details. It was his email, like the key factor for me to like come up with
the details.
Yeah, asking him other questions that made him open up and travel. So, that's when I say, hey, I'm grateful for my last job that I had. It was a great school, met a lot of great people, made some friends, but it was just time to move on. I don't think people would think that I left with a bitter heart or something. I'm grateful, but it was just time to move on.
People are always going to talk.
Yeah, I've learned that.
And, some people just happens not to be your fans, and there's things that make people make things up, believe it or not. I tell our patients, believe it or not, out there, there's people that lie. There is. I mean, there's people that will lie or do whatever it takes for them to get pulled wherever they think they're going. Or recently we had our patients being called from this agency we used to work with and telling them that we sold or we lost our warranty, or that we already paid, they paid everything up front, that they no longer owed anything, just to screw with the patient's mind. And I will tell our patients, look, if this place wants you to go somewhere else and lose all your warranty, what is that? How does it speak about them? They don't care about you. They're never going to meet you. And that's why it's so important for you to be down here, because all my patients coordinators have been here. And I believe that you cannot sell Supreme, or maybe any clinic, but I'm going to focus on Supreme, if you have not been to Supreme. You could sell them, but being here, you see what those patients see.
No, it really changes the way you see it. I mean, you reach out to me when you say, hey, we're starting our own laboratory, this and that. I say, hey, man, that's great. Or like all these things, but like seeing it in person, like actually walking to the, in the middle of the clinic and everything. And, we bumped heads a lot in the past, and
we did. And,
like back and forth with cases, but I always had a lot of respect for what you're doing here. And, it was just a smart thing to collaborate together, because, you have a great product, which is Supreme. Like I know, and for me as a patient coordinator, somebody that will be advocating for a clinic, I can really say, hey, if you go to Supreme, your life will change. Like they can change your life. They'll take care of you.
And thank you.
I saw the shuttle, they picked me up, and guys super nice. You see them, wearing the Supreme stuff. Like it makes you feel, hey, I'm good, and even for me that I'm from Latin America, I was a bit where like who's gonna pick me up, what's gonna happen, and even from the U.S., have others' perspective like that, just like easier, put your minds to ease and just like feel comfortable about like the whole thing. You get to the lobby and you're greeted by like Noemi, Manny, Gavi, other place, and you just feel like like you ended up at the right place. And talking to the doctors as well, like they're super knowledgeable. It's honestly for me like it's a humble moment, like because I'm not a surgeon, like I know a lot about dental. I've been blessed enough to talk to some of the greatest minds in Latin America about dental work. So yes, I know a lot, but the final word, decision, call, everything is on the specialist. So like listening, like firsthand from them what they think about the questions that I bring to them. Hey,
Yeah.
what do you think about this? What do you think about the 3-on-6? What do you think about the all-on-6 or this? Like all these things, like to have somebody that went to Harvard or just came from Switzerland, like tell you in person, like, hey, I think you should do this. And he was doing a drawing and everything.
And he was explaining to you why. So he didn't just tell you, no, don't tell that.
He took the time.
He
Talked
made
like
it,
for an hour,
he
like
made it
about-
made sense.
it made sense now for me to, and it's just like, that just gives me more tools to help people, that I
Right.
can go back to the patient when they have that concern. I'm always, if they want to talk to a surgeon, like I will try to do it, but doctors are busy as well.
Right.
I cannot redirect every patient to talk to the doctor directly, because otherwise, like it will be just, that's why I'm here, like that's why I'm an expert in the field, and you trust us to say, hey, talk to them, and then we do our part on this side. So it just gives me more tools, like to actually talk to people and create right expectations. I think one of the keys to success when you run an agency, besides like really appreciating the patient, not seeing the patient as a number or money, just focusing on helping the person behind the story, the person that has been without eating for 20 years, or the person that hasn't smiled in the past 10 Christmas pictures, like
Hasn't had a steak in the longest time.
it's like the key to success is like when you're synced in with the clinic so good, like what you're telling, like you're in the same like the same page. Like I tell the patient, this is what you can expect. They show up here, and those are the expectations. Like
No.
it goes totally the other way around, where I don't know what I'm talking about, or I don't know the clinic really well. The patient comes here, like you said, they booked a flight, they took the time off, they applied from work. Maybe they had an argument with the family because they didn't want to do this, and they just show up here. They trust you, and it's like, who told you this? Like, no. So like being able to like talk to the doctors, like understand how they think, like that's something for me that's very important, like understanding the philosophy of a doctor, because I would like to talk to the patient in a way that they kind of get to know who's going to see them beforehand. I mean, the doctor will do all the work, but like they just have the right expectations. It's not like a bad moment when they show up here and to get the actual work. So it's definitely a great experience. I mean, you cannot preach what you don't believe. I mean,
Exactly. And, now I took you through different worlds, man. I told you, look, we're about to go to eternal beauty. You're gonna enter a different world, and you were there. And then we put the lights different, and it was like you were like, "Hey, man, you were telling me about this, but I didn't think it was gonna be this good."
I gotta be honest. Like, here comes Frank with another of his ideas, and I walked into the place, and it's actually really nice. It feels like, it's honestly like, like being in two worlds. Like you're at the clinic and you have like this other setup of lighting and decoration and everything. You open up these doors, it's like, well, they took me to a spa in Dubai or something different. Like it's crazy.
That's credit to my wife, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to do that. What about the lab? When you went in, there's a dark with light blue.
Yeah, I mean, I think people can see on the Supreme Instagram page. I don't know if you posted something about the lab, but that lab is amazing.
We'll run some videos right here. We'll
Yeah.
we're showing that everything your walkthrough in
The
there.
lab is amazing. I mean, it's. I've been through other laboratories as well, top ones. It was just really, really good, and being able to have that tool. People that don't have much time, they cannot stay a week. Well, Supreme now can do a full mouth in 2 days. They can do the precision. They don't have to go the old-fashioned with the the wax for the impressions. They can do it 99 point something precise.
99.9. Now tell me about, because I let you see an arch, a zirconia arch.
Yeah.
Before it was painted, before it was all the details on it, and then after, and you said, like, this is artistic.
Yeah, and I saw the artist. Like, she came here and she showed me the teeth, the PMMAs, the zirconias, and like when you see somebody, like if the lip is covering, I mean, you wouldn't even tell. Like it's just a natural teeth, like. And I mean, I know patients, select the color, the shape, the size.
Yeah.
The doctor has to agree that it doesn't affect the functionality of
Right.
their bite and stuff. But just looks amazing. It's
What about the strength? Because
I-
we're big guys, man.
I'm big. My Frank is also big, and I was pushing as hard as I could, and you can't break the teeth.
You were kind of scared of breaking it in the beginning. You're like, ugh.
Yeah, I was like, man, I'm gonna break it, and then it's gonna charge me $4,000 or something. But then I really,
I was gonna give you a discount. But
5%
There
cash.
you go,
discount. No, I
5%.
mean,
Yeah, there you
I tried to break it and I couldn't. So it's like, it really takes a lot back home to say, hey, I broke my teeth completely. Like, if you do your job back home after they do theirs, like in the surgery, there shouldn't be a reason for this not to be a once in a lifetime investment.
And I told you the zirconia bars that we do. You said, well, then how do people say that they break it? And I tell you, well, there's a lot of. It also depends on what zirconia you work with.
Yeah.
So the lab that we have, the zirconia that we have, Aman Gearback is top 2 in the world. And you seen why? Like it was a little thing, man. It wasn't even thick. It was just right there. And we couldn't break it.
Yeah.
You're like, how? It doesn't even make sense. Like, why? How does it? The first thing you told me was, what about those patients that break them?
That was my first question. Yes, because I mean, a lot of places they call you, or a year later, hey, like I broke my, my teeth. Those clinics are not affiliated, by the way. So you're good. But I've seen it, so I had to ask. What happens when it breaks? It's like, well,
they use bad zirconia, Chinese zirconia. Not against China, but
but I mean, it's you get what you pay for. I mean, like
Right.
if you want to have something, and I guess it makes sense.
and that's the blessing of having our own lab, because we know what we are actually putting out for patients.
Mm-hmm.
If patients, like a lot of our patients come in and they say, well, I don't know what different you will come into the lab. Take a look at what we got. They do the same test you did. And they're just like, oh man, this is awesome. Done.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
if
what
I
we got.
imagine myself as a patient and I'm getting teeth, and it's like, that's one of my concerns. It'll be like, hey, try to break this. Be like, oh,
And you're like, well, that makes sense.
this going to my mouth.
It's not
really would take a lot for me to.
it's not a car part. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's what I try to tell the patients, and what I look for on my own site is like for people to understand that I'm not, I'm not here to play with their time or their investment, because like people cannot afford to go wrong. Like, I mean, if they could redo this 2-3 times, then they might just do it in the US. Why travel? Like, if you're
Exactly.
gonna do it 2-3 times because somebody messed it up. So if you're gonna do this investment that it's meant to just it's meant to be for once in a lifetime, then you should do it with the with the people that has like the right intentions, that you're gonna do it at the right place for the right reasons. That was one of the things that also the partners that I reached out, and the ones that reached out that I wanted to work with them agreed on. Is like all the clinics are on the same condition. Like, I don't feel like one is better than the other. This one, like, I'm not getting any extra benefit from any clinic. Like, they are all the same. They're just there to offer their services in the same conditions, So that was really important for me to keep it transparent with the patient, and just like with the clinics as well. And I think that's what would set us aside from any other options that you might have. But if you really want to go to a place where I can tell you, hey, I've been there in person, like, it's not something that I just did remote, or like, you can go there. I would send any of my family members there. Like, I know the doctors. I shook his hand. I sat down with him 3 hours. I saw his clinic. I've been on tour like for 2 weeks, like I did Costa Rica last week, and now I'm in Mexico this week, and then I gotta go back and continue. But it was very important for me to see everything in person, to see what I would have on a site. It was a key thing for me. Yeah.
So anything you want to say before we leave? Tell the patients out there, what do you want to tell them? Shout out.
Well, no, what I could say is, appreciate your time being here. If you make it to the end, my Global Dentist will be launched soon. We're hoping for the end of November, beginning of December. So still, we'll be able to have some appointments ready for you, hopefully before the holidays, if not, ready for the beginning of 2025. And what I can assure is like when you talk to me or any other of my patient coordinators, they can actually feel that you're talking to the right person. Like I'm talking to somebody that really cares about me, about my health, and that I'm going to a place that they've known for years, that it's not a random place that they just sign in a couple of weeks ago and they're going to see how it works with me as a patient. It's just, all trusted partners with the highest quality standards. So we'll be launching soon. We're very glad to have Frank, Supreme, both clinics, Supreme Main and Supreme Cosmetic, as some of our top clinics here in Los Algodones and Mexico overall. So I appreciate the time and
No problem.
the platform to talk a little bit about it, and glad to come back anytime soon.
No problem. I have a question for you.
It should.
There you go. Would you send your mom or your grandma to Supreme?
Yeah, 100%.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the answer I wanted. Well, thank you so much here at Supreme Dental Podcast Studio. Thank you so much for being here. What can I say? My global dentist, Daniel, we lead with full transparency. No matter who we work with, we specify what we're looking for. That's one of the things that we spoke to Daniel about. And thank you for being here at Supreme Dental, powered by Supreme Dental Podcast, powered by Supreme Dental. And just like Daniel and me, keep on smiling.
Thanks.
And if you don't know, now you know.
That's right. So.
And if you don't know, now you know.